Tangodoi, the political parties by law are public institutions. This is not your NRM. Taxpayers pay money partly to run this party. So it's a public institution, that's why you go to register. But for me, I think the point you started with, whether as a country we are making strides or not, because the nature of the NRM internal elections is also reflective of the general elections. NRM as a military outfit presided over by General Yoweri Museveni, who does not subject himself to any internal process. I remember when I was in Observer, there was a lady, Elizabeth somebody from Ruwero. People didn't even know whether she was okay. She went and picked forms to contest first as a chairperson of NRM. But even in that state that people were doubting, Museveni immediately appointed her senior presidential advisor to make sure he doesn't face any election. Then he will preserve Chigongo because of history. Because when Professor Rule died during the Ruwero War, the Nganda fighters were always complaining that this thing was, this outfit was of herdsmen. So that's how Museveni made Chigongo the vice chair. But Chigongo was largely during the Ruwero War, Museveni's driver between Kampala and the bush. I respect him. There are many things I will not say about him, but that was his main job. Museveni goes to Kenya. When he comes back, it is Chigongo driving him to Nakulabye before he sneaks into Ruwero. So that's the vice, and those are the sort of vice that Museveni will want. Whether vice president, whether NRM vice chairman, the level must be of Chigongo, Jessica Lupo, and so on and so forth. So he will preserve himself, preserve Chigongo, and then if he wants Charigonza to go, he will get Variomunsi. But Variomunsi is also not the standard of CEC. Because the Variomunsi I have known, he will speak his mind. Sometimes he say things that are very irritating, but he can't change himself. Variomunsi is Variomunsi. So that's why I think he has overstayed in the CEC. So you don't belong there.
But he was just there for 5 times.
No, he was there. There was an extension because of COVID.
He came during COVID.
I came during COVID.
Okay. Oh dear. So you had to leave because you are your Monsi.
I'm going nowhere.
This election, you need to ask yourself. There's something that the media is not doing. This guy who defeated Mukura, Echodu. I was with him at Capital Gang. I thought he was an ordinary man. I leave the studio, and he's saluted by the military. They are the ones opening his vehicles to end, even before he became SEC member. So Museveni fixes these things early enough. When you're speaking about Anita Mongo, the money, which is true, Museveni gave Kadaga 800 million shilling and a chopper to go and campaign, because the man likes confusion. So he gives the money and says, both of you can go and campaign. And so the change, the new faces we are talking about, that's how even the military starts. The time that General Kazin was in charge of military police, and he goes to arrest the Chihanda and Kashiring, very senior people who came here, because Museveni came here with about 1st, 3rd, 5th, and I think 7th battalion, and we were commanding them were the Kashiring, Chihanda. Then he sends the junior man Kazin to go and arrest them. Remember when Kashiring took off up to Congo. So he likes working with people who are vulnerable. The moment you exhibit some degree of stability, like Variomunsi, you will leave. One of the crimes, I don't want to lose this point. One of the crimes.
I'm just adding to what you're saying. Are you suggesting that this was meticulously orchestrated?
It is. This is a military operation. You're dealing with. You are dealing with a general. these institutions are there to rationalize decisions and to make Museveni look like he's democratic. Because there is no democracy in NRM. This SEC, the one that he has disbanded, the last time it had a meeting was when Oranya died and they were processing the next speaker. These grant holders, they gathered at Musa Court here for a meeting, even passed resolutions. And Museveni said he has given you permission to hold a SEC meeting. He invited them. From today onwards, all SEC meetings must take place in State House and resolution number 1. Let them, both of them, say that I am lying.
You are lying.
Tango Do, you a professor.
But you are lying.
So let Chris also say I am lying.
You are not accurate.
He said all the meetings must be in State House.
No.
No.
Correct me.
You shall correct the record. Then
that particular SEC meeting had postponed the NRM roadmap. In the evening, Museveni said the roadmap starts tomorrow, I'm going to launch. The same people who had postponed it now walked to Plot 10 to receive Museveni to launch what they had postponed. But in the meeting, he came with the resolutions in his armpit, the one of Chigongo, and he kept saying, these Chigongo resolutions, these Chigongo resolutions. So these ones had to go. They were now wise-aching. Who are you even to sit, convene yourself and act like an institution when I am not there? One time, John Abimanya Mushega told me all the NRM people, his contemporary, had a meeting, a conference hall at Parliament. They said, let's say, former Vice Kaziwe be the one to chair us. We need to speak. Museveni had a meeting. He came running. He said, you guys, why are you excluding me? This is a very good conversation about the future of the country. I should also participate. But he said, I am very busy, so let's postpone the one of today. I'll host the next meeting. It never sat. So the SEC, people who think that SEC is an institution that should function as an institution, Bariomos and the group, the ones who are behind the Chigongo resolutions that Museveni came holding, all of them have left. Now he has assembled a new army because Museveni likes working with people who are vulnerable. The moment you express stability, you are a problem, you've got to go. One of the meetings of SEC, Charlie Gonza arrives and he says, there's something I want to say here. When we are in Luwero, we are the ones fighting, you remember. You are going to cause this country a problem. The other day they killed Abiriga, you ran at the scene of crime. He said, and I'm quoting Charlie Gonza, when your vehicle was stolen in Arua, they had to kill people. Suppose they kill you, and why do you continue running to the scenes of crime? Second thing, we must discuss the transition. What happened next election? Charlie Gonza had to be replaced by Bariomons.
So you are saying to the president who brought me into SEC?
I am saying, so tell me if I am lying that Charlie Gonza didn't say these things when he was banging the table with his stick. So Charlie Gonza had to be helped out of SEC. Now Bariomus came in, who at that time looked relatively junior. But Bariomus has now earned his right at the table. So he begins speaking the same way you see him here criticizing NRM elections. The next thing, I'll be surprised if he retains his cabinet post. Because in the past, Museveni would... Tango Doi... Tango Doi...
man is capable of being
Museveni always spoke about the right forum. At that time, you were in Makerere. I was covering Museveni. So I have a fair knowledge. You may have been closer to him, but I have a fair knowledge of how Museveni operates. So this new yes men and women he has assembled from Anita Mongo to Echedu. I was with Echedu, a man who can't communicate. You see, you are at a show like this, they ask you, say yes. Then the moderator is suffering. Yes, about what? He said, okay. That is now the guy in the SEC. I was with him.
No, he's not here, don't discuss him.
Yeah. But the show was public. You mean we are in heaven? We were on a talk show when the man was sitting.
I know, he's not here.
So no, I'm telling you what happened. I'm not talking about him. Beyond the show, I don't know him, but he could not communicate.
But he's not here to
whether it was by choice, but he couldn't. So the new faces in SEC were carefree, selected were helped, and the mistake, and you can see by the way they behavior, and that's why these people had to leave. That Kadaga can go to Koro and he's saying, Your Excellency, this is unacceptable. Bariomus goes to Koro, he picks a microphone, this is not an election. You can't be in SEC, Bariomus, you're in the wrong place. That's not the address for. So these others will come and say, these elections were the best in this country. This country has this country. But even you, when you are complaining, why were you not complaining to Tango Doi, who's the chairman of the Electoral Commission? You're complaining to Museveni. Because the elections were being conducted by Tango Doi, but Bariomus was saying, Your Excellency, was he now the chairman of the Electoral Commission?
I was answering his question.
So what worries me?
Yes, I was answering.
What worries me?
Yes, lastly.
It's the point Mwenda made in passing, because Mwenda wanted to argue like an academic. See, you can't have credible elections under Museveni. All that I was laboring to tell you is that most of the processes under Museveni are fixed. But Museveni is not stupid. I have said this and I will repeat. Museveni is an intelligent man with a bad heart.
With a bad heart?
Yes.
No.
Very intelligent, but with a bad heart.
Museveni has a good heart.
That's how you measure him. It's you, Professor.
Yeah, I measure him as
and I don't want by people to blame Tango Doi. Tango Doi is just a hangerman. He doesn't pass the judgment. The judgments are passed by judges elsewhere. His job is to come and chop off the head.
Thank you.
So Bariomus was unleashed, and that's why Bariomus deliberately, both Bariomus and Kadaga, were complaining about elections, not to the chairman of the Electoral Commission, but to the judge himself who had passed the judgment. This one must go. None of them was addressing Tango Doi. Tell me why. Because they should be angry with the Tango Doi. All of them, you have messed up election. But Chris was addressing the judge himself.
They were the meeting and they were the chairman. So you're addressing the chair.
Gentlemen, allow me to bring in Professor here.
Yes. One day there was a report by BBC about independence political parties, and CCM, ANC, ZANU, I think about only 6 were still surviving. If you go to Kenya, Kanu, that once was a mass might party, they don't even have an MP in parliament. This party that has this, first of all, we are under military government by military general. The NRM is a state party, and all state parties are going to be that size of the NRM. I have told the people here, when Obote was going to change every year, they were removing us from schools to go and line up the roads. And we begin singing for nobody who was in a Mercedes Benz, not even hearing us, as he was going to Bushenyi. Obote yanunula Uganda yafe n'amajege galwananga nnyo obutediriza. Dr. Oboto wangale mama. Nyamulunga would follow because we are there all day. And the man just passes. In 1 minute he has left. He hasn't even stopped to see and hear us sing. The people who were in UPC, Dr. Bariomus, we are not Milton Obote's biological children. They disappeared. Even in Mushenyi where he was going, they are not there. They are now only in an enclave called Rango. So state parties will inevitably collapse when they lose state power. This particular party is the Museveni party. That's why they have appropriated state institutions and turned them into NRM. They go to State House for meetings. That's where they eat. They pay their allowances from taxpayers' money, pay their bills, go to Kororo, which is a public facility. They are the only ones who can access it, close roads, do everything. The moment Museveni leaves, maybe you have seen, and was just left, his son tweeted and he said, now them, Pirao, they are the youth wing of NRM. Military serving military general. So they are not the idea by people who are constructing parties. And I'll tell you, this country has changed a great deal. I was a journalist covering the Committee on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. The first Political Parties and Organizations Act that was brought before the committee That was even before the referendum of 2005. Members of that committee, the Ben Watchers, the Honorable Dan Wandero Garo, Medikagwa, and others, the lawyers, they agreed in the committee that for us to give a country a better law on political parties without prejudices, Ben Watcher, who was chairing the committee, and I think Wandero, who were known to be opposition, and Maratu and others, they said let Medikagwa be the one to make the presentation. They will not think because it was NRM. Because Museveni was proposing that parties must operate only at headquarters. And NRM being NRM, you see, many of NRM MPs don't read. Maybe they only read their names. They passed the law until Museveni detected and he returned it. But the point that I'm making is
was it only NRM supposed to read the bill? But
the opposition knew. That's why they offered it to NRM to be the one. It is Medikagwa who presented it. So the country has changed. I think we need to be having a conversation about the quality of our own elections, including internal party processes. And that's why if you read the constitution and the law on political parties by law are supposed to be democratically, internally democratically, they're supposed to be national in character. Building political parties was supposed to be partly a public duty that will go and build, because one of them inevitably will be in power tomorrow. Even the conversation, I don't have to celebrate if NRM is having these sort of elections or any other party, because in particular this party is in charge of all our affairs. And we will have the same conversation about electoral commission when elections fail. The temptation is to go for those who were at the helm of elections and then forget the rest of the people, because you see, for the NRM elections, and that's why only maybe someone who is insane will blame Tango Doi. They know their own problem, because the people who were splashing money, that money was not given by Tango Doi. So that's not a crime you can accuse him. I have said this one is a hangerman. His job was to deliver.
To cut off the head.
So they said, Chris Variomunsi, chop off the head. That one I have finished, sir. So bring another one. So in the future, and I think because when Chris joined the parliament and others, the conversation was about the country. How do we make our country better? How do we make processes, even whether an institution is private, whether an institution is public, because all these institutions ultimately serve the public. That conversation has gone now. We are now in a partisan discussion. Tango Doi will celebrate if there is a failure in NOP and PFF. Bariomunsi will tell you, for us, we are a mass party. Because if in a multi-party democracy you have only one party, there is absolutely nothing to celebrate about. That for us, we have covered from Chisolo to where you were not there. Why did Museveni go to, in his party, this Museveni, who is very smart in building parties, his UPM, he had only one MP, Chiyonga, who became an MP because the DP guy was killed. So that's where he came from.
Okay.
He went to Mbarara North and he was defeated by Sam Kutesa. But after capturing power, using a gun, using state resources, removing Makere professors from classrooms to come and chop for him heads of people he doesn't like. Now they say they are a mass party, we are a mass party. Mass where?
Doctor, allow me, let me first
you allow this cynical.
No, I'm
I'm not cynical. I am telling you, we must have a conversation about improving our processes.
Something that Dr. Tango Doi